What's going on, folks, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're gonna discuss six-figure jobs that don't require six figures of college debt, or actually any college debt at all, because all the jobs I'm gonna cover for you today simply just require a high school GED or associate's degree. Now, before we hop into that, if you wouldn't mind, tap that little thumb icon to show some support. I really appreciate it. So, when it comes to six-figure jobs that don't require six figures of college debt, one of the reasons I want to make this video is because I'm seeing more and more now this debate of whether or not college is worth it. On the one hand, you go to college, you spend 4 years there, you have a great time, you party it up, you study, you come out, you're a college-educated individual, and supposedly you have a plethora of job options. That's true to an extent. But the flip side argument of that is, well, in those 4 years, you're not actually having any real world experience. You're behind sort of these closed doors of the university. In addition, you are just racking up debt. If you look at the student debt in America today, it is just absolutely shocking how much people come out with. And there's an argument to be made. How quickly do you get an ROI on that debt? When you come out with $200,000 plus of college debt, and maybe you're only making $35,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year, how quickly can you pay that off? I mean, let's think about it for a second. You have so much student debt in the hands of individuals who don't have a ton of income. What happens if they're unable to pay it? Who ends up footing the bill? Of course, I'm not gonna make the argument of whether or not you should or shouldn't go to college. That is absolutely a personal choice, but I do wanna make this video so that you are aware of jobs that can pay beaucoup dollars without necessarily having to sacrifice hundreds of thousands in student debt. The other point I want you to keep in mind is, I know a lot of us have this notion that making six figures is somehow an indication that we've made it. I challenge you to think about this though. At what point in your life did you consider six figures as the sum that would equate to making it in the real world? Was it maybe when you were growing up? Was it when you were in high school? Or was it in college? Because I'll make this argument. $100,000 in the year 2000 would be equivalent to about $158,000 today. That means if you thought you had made it making over 100,000, well, really the goalposts have moved and you need to be cracking 158,000. In fact, if you were to make $100,000 today in 2021, that equates to roughly $64,000 in the year 2000. All this is to say, keep in mind what your goalposts are. Why do you want to make more? Is it simply to show other people you've made more? Or do you have some other end objective, whether it's to be able to afford certain luxuries, to travel, to have more time to do whatever it is you want? Just have that number in mind, but really have the why to it. Don't just have an arbitrary, oh, 100,000 sounds like a lot, therefore I've made it, because before you know it, you're not really making what you thought you were gonna make, and the goalposts have moved. I'll also go ahead and take the chance to say that if you were to have taken your money and invested in real estate, well, real estate keeps up with inflation. Rent rolls keep up with inflation. So always, when you have a W-2 job, see what kind of side hustle you can tack onto that to accelerate your earnings. All right, that's enough of me babbling. Let's jump into the list. This list, all the data is pulled from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The job descriptions are also gonna come from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So some of them are gonna sound a little funny. Bear with me, we'll walk through it and make sense of it. I'm gonna talk about first what the average is for the job nationwide and the area where you're gonna pay the highest. So number 10, electrical power line installers and repairers. These ladies and folks are going to be installing or repairing cables or wires used in electrical power distribution systems, may erect poles, and light or heavy duty transmission towers. The annual mean of this job is $74,410. And the highest paid metro is the San Fran, Oakland, Hayward, California metro, coming in with a mean salary of $114,820,000. Number 9, first line supervisors of construction trades and extraction workers. The annual mean salary is $72,990. These folks directly supervise and coordinate activities of construction or extraction workers. All right, that's pretty self-explanatory. And the highest paid metro is again in California. The San Jose, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara area. Highest comes in at $107,870. Wait a minute, that was lower than the one before. How is this list ranked? Oh, you know what? I just realized this list is metric to my area, which I'm up in the Northeast area. Oh, okay. That's cool. We're gonna keep going. So even though it's 10 through 1, there might be some variance, but for the most part, I think this is accurate. It's just working off of where I am today as the 10 through 1, if that makes any sense. So, number 8, power distributors and dispatchers. These folks coordinate, regulate, or distribute electricity or steam. The annual mean salary is $93,260. And the highest paid metro, wow, this is a shocking number, is Sacramento, Roseville, Arden, Arcade, California at $141,200. Ooh, that's pretty sweet. Next up, first line supervisors of non-retail sales workers. I have a comment on this one. So these folks have an annual mean salary of $90,120. They directly supervise and coordinate activities of sales workers other than retail sales workers. Many perform duties such as budgeting, accounting, and personal work in addition to supervisory duties. So really, these are just managers of sales folks that aren't in a retail setting. That's cool. Now, the highest paid metro is La Crosse in Wisconsin, Minnesota at $124,150. I do happen to know something about the sales industry, and I will say, even though that's the average, you can easily see numbers north of 200,000 working for the right company in the right industry as a sales manager. In fact, you can see numbers easily north of 350. Next up, real estate brokers. This one's a good one, especially given how the market has been going when it comes to real estate for this past year. I mean, let's be honest, you list a house, that thing on fire, as in it's bought. So real estate brokers operate real estate offices or work for commercial real estate firms, overseeing real estate transactions. Other duties include selling real estate or renting properties and arranging loans. Now, I will say you can't just sign up to be a real estate broker. You first, in most states, are gonna have to get your real estate license, take your exam, practice for a couple years, and then you can get your broker's license. The mean pay for real estate brokers is $81,630. The highest paying metros, the New York, New Jersey area, you're gonna get an average of $134,770. That's a pretty penny. And I will also comment on that. I think a lot of brokers, especially on coastal cities, can easily crack the 150 mark. Number 5, detective and criminal investigators. So similar to the brokers, and I guess similar to the first line sales managers, these aren't roles that necessarily you're just gonna finish up high school and jump right into. I'm not saying with any of these roles, you'll be just jumping in and cranking over 6 figures. What I'm saying is there are options available outside of a 4-year college degree to be able to make over 6 figures. So I believe with detective, you are gonna spend a couple years in the force before you are eligible. Now, I'm not as familiar with that area, but I'm pretty sure that would be how it works. So as far as job description, conduct investigations related to suspected violations of federal, state, or local laws to prevent or solve crimes. All right, the average here is $89,300. And the highest paid metro is, again, in San Francisco, coming in at $127,380. Next up, we have elevator and escalator installers and repairers. As the name would imply and the description would imply, you're going to assemble, install, repair, or maintain electric or hydraulic freight or passenger elevators, escalators, or dumbwaiters. The annual mean salary is $86,200. The highest paying metro comes in at $109,710, and that's the Boston-Cambridge-Nashua, New Hampshire metro. Number 3, we have transportation, storage, and distribution managers. The job description says, plan, direct, or coordinate transportation, storage, or distribution activities in accordance with organizational policies and applicable government laws or regulations, includes logistics managers. These folks make an annual mean salary of $105,100 in the highest paying metro. California, doing it big. San Jose, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, $163,580. Ooh, wow. I think it's time to rethink my occupation. Number 2, we have first line supervisors of police and detectives. Back to the original point of you can't just jump into this right out of high school. Definitely can't jump into that right out of high school. This is gonna take a couple years to do. But once you get here, let's talk about big bucks. So the description is pretty straightforward. Directly supervise and coordinate activities of members of police force. The annual mean salary, $97,180. The highest paid metro, California, here we go. Maybe it has to do with the taxes or something. I don't really know. But San Jose, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara coming in at $200,090. Wow, that is an eye-watering number. And number 1, we have commercial pilots. These folks, as probably the description is gonna tell us, they fly planes. Specifically, pilot and navigate the flight of fixed-wing aircraft on non-scheduled air carrier routes or helicopters. Requires commercial pilot certificate, includes charter pilots with similar certifications and air ambulance and air tour pilots. Excludes regional, national, and international airline pilots. An annual mean salary of $110,830. The highest paid metro. This one's coming out in Sioux City, Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota at $153,990. So in covering those 10, I hope you realize that there are a ton of jobs out there that don't require you to have a 4-year, 6-figure debt college degree. Though on the flip side, they're not jobs you're gonna pick up the minute you graduate from high school. A handful of those jobs are first-line supervisors, and some of those require years of dedication, apprenticeship, and study to work your way up. But that's like any corporate job. No corporate job that requires a bachelor's degree is gonna hand you 6 figures off the bat. Okay, a handful maybe, but for the most part, that's not happening. You're going to have to work your way up. And I implore you, as you're making your way up and working your way up, trying to hit whatever salary target you want, really think about why it is you want that number. What is that true why? Is it a number for the sake of having a number? Or is there more behind it? Does that number afford you something else? Because that guards you from basically entering the rat race of just constantly climbing, making, spending. Because if you do that by climbing, earning more, spending more, earning more, spending more, you kind of just end up really at the end of your career, similar to where you started at the beginning of your career. So here's also one bonus one that's not mentioned, which I think should be, which is a sales representative. Now there are certain sales representative positions you're going to require a bachelor's degree, but there are certain sales roles that don't. And if you're an outgoing person, or if you just like to solve problems, I can say with complete certainty, you can crack 6 figures within a couple of years of finishing high school or finishing your associate's degree. All right, so let me know in the comment section below. Have you heard of any of these jobs? Are any of you employed in one of these professions? And do you have any comments about what I relate? I would love to hear your feedback. And of course, if there's anything you'd like to see in an upcoming video, don't hesitate to let me know. My name is John. It has been a great video. If you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe. And until next time, peace.